All right, what's going on, team? Long week, man, long month for me. I've just been as far as markets go, we've had some good action this week. But long week for me, just getting pummeled by COVID a couple times. Kids got it, and just been a weird start to the year. But anyway, feeling better today, kind of bolted in the chair again today and yesterday. So I'm gonna do a big picture update. I'll touch about it here in a second. I'm launching this Cycle Edge Pro now, so I want to give you guys a special offer. I'm including you basically with the institutions that I work with. But two parts, I guess. I want to talk about that big picture. I'm going to be doing an update over the weekend and some video updates on what's transpired this week and what we're doing from here going forward, core positioning, some of the trades and some of the moves we've made. And then I'm going to do here, this is a video that I'm doing with my prop team. I'll make it available to everybody just because it's new quarter. I want to work with a few more individuals on our prop team. So the Cycle Edge Pro I just mentioned, that's essentially there's three ways to get involved with us right now. The DeFi, the crypto stuff is an investment team and company I'm doing some things outside of the public with. But Cycle Edge, guys, is great. It's a couple $100 for an annual subscription and maybe 180 bucks, 20 bucks a month. But that's going to get you the monthly Cycle Edge analysis, my big picture calls, global macro stuff, occasionally the bigger picture pivots throughout the week, and some audio analysis I do with that also. But that's not going to help you with the day trade stuff. That's the prop stuff, the coaching, the consulting. That's the prop team. All right. We're working with day trading, which I'm going to go over the video today. It was essentially two cycles I traded this morning, a 15-minute and 5-minute cycle. Both cycles lasted about 2 hours, and I pulled $5 grand out of each cycle. So it's 10 grand on one account, just trading two simple cycles for a couple hours. So anyway, that's the day trade stuff. And the way that prop program works is trade together, coaching, you have direct access to me, just a lot of one-on-one for day trade stuff. So not only do you get all of the courses I've ever done, you get access to the model, you can learn it. And I work with you guys on that in just some private settings. This is a tight group. They're in there trading together every day, and then I'm in there just setting up, whether it's London or US Open, but we'll be working together throughout the year. So that's a great program. If you're new, it's $5K. If you've never had access to my courses, if you've never had access to any of the mentorship, if you're brand new, $5K for the year. All right. And if you've taken any of my courses, like the full proprietary model, it's 9 hours. That course runs about 3,500 bucks. Or if you've done any of the mentorship, which we usually would last 8 weeks, the coaching. But if you've taken those courses, you paid for that before, then it's 3,500 to join this team. And both of these programs, whether you're new and you get all the training and the courses, or you've already got the courses, you just want to be part of the team, I help you get funded on both of those. So we're working with a team out of Chicago to help you guys get some buying power and get you funded for your day trade stuff. So that's all futures based, what we're trading. I mean, I'll hit on Forex markets, but you can trade Forex, the major pairs, euro, pound, yen, with futures also. So we trade futures in this team. So that's what I'm going to highlight this morning, what I traded. And I'll do some teaching here in this video right now. But then, yeah, guys, for this is, I used to post for independent retail guys, all kinds of like edges on crypto, trades I was just basically every trade I used to do in retail. I don't do that anymore. So the Cycle Edge is just your basic analysis, big picture stuff, my thoughts, so you can kind of get on the same page, kind of an intro to what we're doing. The Cycle Edge Pro, where I'm trading guys directly, whether they're investment advisors trading on this different, bond traders at some of the primary dealers, swap desks, pension fund guys, hedge fund guys. This is all direct access. So we do quarterly calls, we do intraday analysis. I'm touching these guys. We're talking directly in the mornings, throughout the day. I probably made 15 different moves today. So that's all reserved. Those kind of signals and trading, that's all reserved for institutionals players from now on, or what I call the pro level. And that's $3,000 a quarter. But because I'm just launching this, I wanted to give some of you that don't want to day trade, and some of you that want more than just, the big picture calls weekly and monthly, I'm going to give you access, special access, 90% off the Cycle Edge Pro. So what normally costs $9,000 for the year, I give a little bit of a quarterly break for the clients that sign up for an entire year. But essentially at that, it's $1,000 a month, $3,000 a quarter. I'm doing this 90% off for anybody now that's on the independent side, just to give you access. So it's the same direct coverage, text, special Telegram group, signals, what we're doing. If you specifically trade commodities, we're talking about it. If you're an oil trader, if you just want to trade S&P, if you trade a lot of Forex, if you want to trade crypto in a bigger way. I mean, the Cycle Edge letter will tell you about, what we think big picture. But I mean, as far as like how I'm hedging the short side, most people don't know that you can be involved in puts on Coinbase, or if you're trading the futures at FTX on the US based side, or you're overseas and you're doing stuff with options. And, FTX they bought Ledger X, which is an options group. So the way we're hedging and dealing with like intermediate term downtrends that we've had in Ether, we've had in just crypto in general, along with this risk asset sell-off the start of this year, that's all inside of the Cycle Edge Pro. So I know some of you are bigger picture, you want to swing some bigger positions. Maybe you're a doctor, some of you are lawyers, you're running businesses, you're not day trading, but you're also like, hey, I want to, I'd love the chance to know when your guys are selling vol, or, today I was selling out of my Nasdaq puts that we bought at 1,500, was a huge trade. So just different things like that we're doing. A lot of what I've been posting, just a lot of moves today. I mean, so what I was thinking in oil, how to play some of the leverage ETFs. We're coming out of VIX calls that we had bought a couple of weeks ago at 22 strike. It was like $4 or $5 just in that, 10 contracts, big trade. Setting up a short on UVXY, which is another inverse vol play on the leverage ETF side. Nasdaq here's be coming out of these 14,000 strike puts. Some of the cyclical analysis that I'm doing on the institutional side. So this is a lot more in-depth, guys. If you want the swing trades, you want the core trades, you want to be a part of the same type of focus and work that I do for the pros. You can get that now, $900 for the entire year. So 90% off. I'll put this link in an email. I'll put it in the links to the videos on via YouTube when I send out the email, obviously also. And then I'll also put this link on some of the socials. But the easiest two ways, you can also come into our free trading room too, and if you can DM me. But the easiest way to get in touch, click the links, you can sign up there. If you have more questions or you want to join the prop team, you can also email me at sales, this link down here, sales@jenkinsrm.com. You can message me that way, sales@jenkinsrm.com. If you're in the Telegram free chat, I'll link that, or I'll put the link directly to sign up. Okay, sorry, that was a little bit of housekeeping. I just want everybody to kind of be aware of like how to participate and make it simple and what we're offering, the services, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So today, here's the teaching part. Better still be recording. Yeah. So my guys, this is going to be a little bit more geared toward my team, and you'll get a kind of a glimpse to see what we're doing. So some of this may or may not make sense. But if you're new to me, you don't know our model and our process, maybe you'll learn something through osmosis. So when you talk about, I traded just S&P, Nasdaq, and the Dow. Pairs traded them, meaning I trade the two off each other long short, but definitely have a directional view here, which was bearish. And what I'll show you, and I wanted to highlight, was some of you need a little bit more work on setting up contrarian versus going with the cycle or the runway, what I call it. So you want to keep things simple, but I know sometimes it's easy to kind of, when you're trying to trade long and short, you're looking at different time frames, it's easy to kind of crisscross your wires, and your thinking can be a little bit mixed, or you start to confuse yourself. So here's S&P, here's Nasdaq. We come in this morning, this is the open right around this time frame here. This is a 15-minute chart, here's a 5-minute. So right off the open is a little bit different. I don't use the cycles as much, just because there's such a burst of energy. I really just stay with the 1-minute trend, and then I'll trade in and out on the tick chart, or I'll show in a second here what the live trading looks like. So I did 2 separate videos, and I'm going to do some commentary over the top of, and I sped it up just for the sake of this video. But essentially what I did, and then I'll go back and I'll show you guys the execution, but this is long right off the bat in the morning, quick long. I took the Dow long. And then as we got into the top of the overnight highs here, I started to set up short S&P for this 5-minute cycle down. And then you can also see on the 15-minute here, this is the edge. So these bands, see how the bands are all down, even the 5-minute bands are still down. So even though we took out that high, like this is an area, I talk about that a lot. It's not level specific. These are more about areas. So you want to think about like a chain link fence. You can push up against a chain link fence, or the ropes in a boxing or MMA ring. Those, you can kind of lean against the ropes. So this was the edge to be short. And then look at the 15-minute cycle. This is what I'm trying to capture. Boom. And then I set up short again on that secondary move. Boom. And then in between there, I was a little bit long. Here while I was setting up short for that move, for this move. So I'll just go through the details a little bit on that. So just to refresh, you come in, I'm largely just watching for the immediate flow right off the bat. I'll go into that in a second. But also, don't be afraid to come back with your secondary moves, your secondary cycles, and be like, okay, here's the bands. I know this is pretty good location for a short. Right off the open, if my cycle's down, okay, don't be afraid to go with the 1-minute and 5-minute as it breaks down. But then what happens too is, like, I covered most of my short down here just because the 5-minute cycle is low. And then from here, when the 15-minute gets low and your 5-minute's low, it's okay to wait to set up short. So what I did is I ended up selling the Nasdaq pretty much on the high, because that's where pi was. Just like S&P's failed at pi here, Nasdaq failed at pi. I'll show you. So here's 5-minute, boom. Failed exactly at pi. All right, so I don't try to keep a short and work a short. Nasdaq's too heavy. It was too big a contract, too much vol to be short here and try to work a short for the entire cycle back down. So what I do is I played a short in S&P about halfway back up the move, but I was also working long in the Dow as we traversed the end of this cycle, this part of the cycle, and then I started shorting the S&P first here, a couple here, trading in and out. And then I waited for my spot with a high 5-minute cycle, waited for my pi location, boom. Then I sold Nasdaq, covered some, sold some, covered. I think I sold some again and covered. So I took a good chunk of Nasdaq, but that was on the right-hand side. You guys know I talked about the right-hand side of the cycle. And covering most of my short here at the bottom of the 5-minute and the 15-minute cycle. And then when we popped back about halfway up, yeah, I went back short, but I wasn't afraid to work the Dow long. Essentially the Dow long, I'm working, see how the 8 goes positive? That's your 1-minute cycle on the way back up. So even though this is the Nasdaq chart, it's the same for the Dow pretty much. So here's the 1 minute. I can get back there. Yeah. So you'll see here in a second. I'm gonna go through all this, the executions, and you'll be able to see it again. I just want to highlight first what I did, and then you kind of be able to anticipate why I did what I did. So anyway, this was the short off the. This is the short in S&P I took. I went long the Dow. Went long the Dow first on the open. Sorry. Second. What was the high there? 34.8. Just make a little bit more room. So here's the open right here. There's a burst up, real money candle. I bought some, sold some. We came back down. I bought into this pullback right here. And then we went to the new high. I took some profits. And then we pulled back again, and I started working a little bit of the short side of S&P at the top here as we kind of rolled over, while still working the long side of the Dow. I think I worked the long side of the Dow all in here. And then when we popped, I was taking profits in here. So you can see there's a lot of cyclicality in here, right? On the near term, that's a 1 minute long, taking some off, buying some back, taking some off, buying some back, taking some off. Okay, so there's your cycle. There's your trend there in the near term. And then there's opportunities to be shorting contrarian. And as we rolled over, that was the bigger trade to cover in here, those shorts. So my executions probably make it'll be easier to see visually. And then covering well here, making money. And then as we rally back up, I was putting out shorts in S&P. And because the cycle was still up, remember, on the 5-minute and 15-minute, so you can get these 1 minute uptrend that goes to higher levels. So I wasn't afraid to work a little bit of a long on the Dow here, some long on the Dow in here, I believe. And I even maybe bought the Dow there also. So I'm working the long side on the way back up. But this is why it's important. That's not always getting the direction right. It's more like how you play it, guys, and how you work your risk. But I could start selling here and short more here, and it's no problem when I'm working the long side also. It just makes it so much more easier to be short and a little bit earlier until that 15-minute cycle later in the day ended up rolling back over. So what was the high? 30. I don't know the Dow levels that well. That was, yeah, 34.8 almost. So I was working the long side a little bit in the Dow, and then boom, I start hitting the S&P harder at the top, and then I sold in the Nasdaq. So I like to leave the Nasdaq in kind of the back pocket, especially wait on the Nasdaq for your 5-minute cycle. There's no sense if you can be short S&P and make money. If this drops lower, that's fine, but cover your Nasdaq and wait for the top of a 5-minute cycle before you get back involved in Nasdaq. And you don't have to deal with working this stuff all the way back on a 15-minute cycle back the other way. So that's a little bit of risk management tip. You can be a little bit more patient and wide with like the Nasdaq and work S&P, the Dow, the Russell against each other. But yeah, definitely focus on those 5-minute cycles. It makes it a lot easier. If you're covering low on the cycle, go back to the Nasdaq. You'll see in these executions, I'm covering into these lows, and then I'm waiting for the 5-minute. I'm waiting for the 1-minute cycles to come back up. Okay, so here's the first video. Hopefully this isn't too long. I'll blow this up. So this isn't, I don't have audio here, but I'm gonna talk over it. Okay, guys, so we'll get into the executions. Yeah, I had to do this video in 2 parts. I screwed up my screen share on the last part. So a little bit of a, maybe a little bit of a break here between this last one and this one. But again, we're gonna go long right off the bat. Okay, and then you get the reversal and you break back down below the 1 minute, goes bearish. Your bands are still technically bearish here. They didn't roll up. So I can be long, make a little bit into this high, and then I was setting up the pairs trade a little bit short. So I'm long Dow, went a little bit short S&P, and then I added to the S&P here as it broke down because the 1 minute went bearish, and I'm basically playing this 5 minute cycle back down. Okay, and then I got short Nasdaq also. So I can be long, make some money, and then if I was just outright long, I'd be still long and giving back all my gains. But that's why you pairs trade it, you sell into the highs, a little bit contrarian short, and I added to some Nasdaq here. And I'm capturing and covering all my Nasdaq at the bottom of the 5 minute cycle. And then I waited all the way for the top of the cycle again, the short again, right into pi. I started shorting a little bit earlier in S&P. You'll see here in a second on the executions. But I didn't, the executions don't show, the video doesn't show this move. I'm just going to talk through it. I basically recorded this cycle. So I recorded, I'm going to go over here is that secondary cycle, how we trade around the top, catch the right hand side, the break, added, covered below, covered into here, short from here, short Nasdaq from here, short S&P from here. And I was a little bit long the Dow, but I was more short for this move down. Okay, so here's the executions. The only it lets me to do in 10-minute increments, so I didn't record both of those cycles. All right, but this was the initial move up, capture this, wait, trade around the corner, capture this. And there was even more to trade the rest of the day. But so I did 5 grand here, 5 grand here, just on this one account, and then that's what's available, guys, on these 5 minute cycles. Are powerful. You just got to kind of learn to pick your spots and learn how to add and reduce around the turns, how to kind of just professionally work that size. Okay, this is part 1. Part 1, still recording. Okay, let's see. So this is Chicago time. So 8:30. This is the open. So notice here, start the clock. This is the secondary bounce I'm talking about, but here was the open. So I was long. This is the Dow, and I'm long. Boom. We pulled back inside of this 1 minute trend. I bought a little bit more, and then I took into the prior new high. Then over here, I had the Nasdaq up, but during this move up, I was shorting S&P up here. Okay, so when we pulled back here on this initial little dip, I went long, but I had already shorted S&P a little bit. So I'm short S&P here, covering short cover. Here, I'm selecting it now. So watch here, guys, on the right. So you can see this is still Nasdaq. What I was doing in real time here was waiting for Nasdaq to get up to that high. That was the top of that 5 minute cycle. That's the location I wanted to short. But I started shorting S&P a little bit here, here, here. And then I was working the Dow long here, here. You can see that right over here. Okay, so this is me in the morning. This is the long side. The long side. Look, I'm still working the long side off the open. But then because I was shorting well and I was making more money short S&P, right? And I sold Nasdaq on the break. So that's where my gains came. All right, but this Dow, I was long a little bit when I was short Nasdaq and S&P, And then you can see these red lines are indicating losses. So that's me trimming my risk and just taking losses there on that. Okay, so that was the first move. Pretty good. This is like 5 grand here between those three. All right, there's my short on, here's my short in S&P. See that right around the top there? 1, 2, 3 sales, cover, cover. I reshorted, cover, reshort that bounce. That was the gift zone. When we failed off this move first, guys, it creates a wall, and then back up that wall, I shorted into it. That was right over here. This was a gift zone right here. I teach you guys that. Boom, there was the wall. You come back up, short, short, cover, cover, cover. The secondary move is usually the larger move. Okay, now this is the opposite. This is the cycle back up. So here I'm working the Dow and I'm working S&P short. So remember I said I was a little bit early shorting. This 5-minute cycle is still peaking. So this is me, whoops. See, look, here's the 5-minute cycle coming up. But see, notice how I started down here, short, short, short. So these sales here, I covered a quick scalp because this is all 1-minute bullish. So I'm working the long side into this pullback while I was a little bit short early, but I'm planning on setting up this short up here. This was a better sale. This was a better sale. I did good to cover some down there on that 1 minute. This is the 1 minute. So again, like 2 glasses, half full of water, pouring glass water from each glass into the other, back and forth, back and forth. I'm coming out of my longs a little bit, still long some Dow. See how I'm up on the Dow? And then I'm using those gains here to kind of just patiently build the contrarian short on the 5-minute. So look, I'm coming out of some Dow here. Now I'll feed into the short in S&P. 44.80, I think, was the high. I don't know if I sold that because I already had sold it here. Yeah, so I sold it here and I didn't cover. See how this is my average, this blue line? I was trying to cover here and I just missed. So because I missed, I didn't add any more risk short. I just waited and I took my profit on the Dow. So taking the profit here, okay, that sets me up easier to just stay with this short, even though I'm a little bit early. See how I'm out of the money? 1,500 bucks. But I had just booked one of those contracts out of that long. Okay, so from here, we're coming into the top of the 5-minute. This is what happens at the turns. You got to be a little bit patient, contrarian short, book some gains on your longs. You don't need to come out of all your long. And then you'll still see me start to cycle back into or flip over to the Nasdaq chart because I'm trying to short the top of the 5-minute pie line, just a little bit above here. You'll see me flip over in a second for that. Okay, look, there's the Dow pie. Now look at, see how I'm offering? So I'm long and I'm like, man, I want to try to sell right into this pie if we get up there. So we're on a down tick on this 1 minute. Down tick here, a red bar, blue bar. As we come back up, I'm offering that red line. I'm just trying to sell into the top of the bands there. All right, I'm cycling through my 15-minute. I know we got a little bit of room to come up on the 15-minute. So I'm just keeping touch on that. Come back to the 1 minute. See, these were good buys here. Take a little bit, take some into the high, and I'm re-offering again up here. Just to come out of some more of this. And then on the short side here, there's my sales. Again, this is my average. So I'm just trying to bid below the market. We'll see if it comes and hits me. Then I can make a little bit of money. You'll see this would flip to in the money. All right, now we're coming down. Look at the 1 minute, guys, right here. It's low, right? So I booked gains, boom, on the Dow. Now look, I'm buying it back on the 1 minute. And sure enough, we're bouncing again. So as soon as I buy well, I put an offer back into some of these same levels. There you go again, booking more gains there. Okay, I got lifted out of some of my long. I'm still offering in the top of pie to the top of the Bollinger Bands to this resistance to the highs of the morning. And then if maybe we don't get to see pi, maybe you fail right in front of it. That's fine. I'm short S&P, and then I would just get more aggressive short Nasdaq if we started to roll over. That's my thinking at that particular time. So I'm long, came out of some. I'm long 2 Dow. Long 2 Dow. Still should be sharing the screen. Okay, good. And let's see, here we are at the top of the 1 minute cycle again. So I'm still offering above the market. I believe I get lifted on that too. So I'll book some more of this. And then again, this is S&P. Actually trying to short a little bit more S&P up here. This is that red line. I think I end up going short 3. And then I actually sell one more Nasdaq too. That's the start of my Nasdaq short. What's this freezing? Hey, look, I flipped to Nasdaq. Here's pi. I'm offering just in front of it. We'll see. I think this is the 5 minute. We'll see if this kind of ribbons back up. I think it ends up doing that. So here's booking gains on the Dow. Now I'm only long one, but I've booked a lot. I've booked a decent amount, $1,000 coming into the top of the cycle. When I'm up this much on the day, guys, I don't need to be too worried about being like too neutral. So I'm fine with I'm going to end up being like short 3 and short 1 Nasdaq. But I got some room to play with here. I'm up on the day. We're right into pi. It's the right location to be short. And then boom, I get filled. So now I'm short Nasdaq 1. Okay. So my thinking on this Nasdaq, I sold it well into pi. I want to try and sit down on this. You can do a couple things. You can scalp it and stay short S&P for a full 5 minute cycle. I sold this so well, I wanted to try and sit down for the full 5 minute cycle on the Nasdaq. This is S&P. So I try to let something run for a full 5 minute cycle, and then I'll trade in and out on like the 1 minute. So watch this. So so S&Ps I'm short. Now look, see, I sold Nasdaq into the high, right? This is the S&P, but Nasdaq failed right here too. So I'm short there. I'm in the money, $300. Now we're getting the pullback on the 1 minute. I'm still working this Dow long, right? So I went from long 1 to long 2, but now I'm short 4, 1 Nasdaq, 3 S&P. And as this pulls back, see, now I'm bidding in the money. Oh, now I got to switch to the other recording. Okay, 1 second. Part 2. So I'm covering in the money on S&P first. So I'll be more active on my S&P covers, then I'm going to let the Nasdaq run on the 5 minute. Okay, so let's see where I picked up. So that was this is selling Nasdaq on the high. I'm short 3 S&P. Now we're getting we're low on this 1 minute cycle. So I'm anticipating, that's why I bought the Dow here, that we can come back up. So I'm long a couple Dow. I can sell out of my Dow into the prior highs or sit tight. I can't remember what I did from here. I don't think we bounced very much. I think it was a shallow bounce. So let's see. Okay, now I flip to the tick chart for the Nasdaq. So I might have covered first on the Nasdaq here. Yeah, I think I cover here into pi. And then I went back and I was like, all right, let's try and capture. Once I booked some gains on that good short off pi, then I think I got another chance to sell. And then I just sat down on the 5 minute cycle. So there's my initial cover. Yeah. So I booked that just short 3 by 2. I book a little bit of S&P. So now I'm short 2 by 2. And then, oh yeah, and then I flipped back and see I covered well, and then we started to bounce, and I went right back to short Nasdaq. Okay, let me rewind that. It's kind of fast. So I covered well, S&P. Remember, went 2 by 2, and then the market bounced quick off that tick chart. So I went back short right there on Nasdaq. It popped like 20 points. I just re-shorted. And then when I went short again, since I already booked some gains, just like, okay, I'll just sit on the 5-minute. Maybe we get a nice 5-minute cycle on Nasdaq, and then I'll trade in and out of the 1 minute on S&P. And so I'm still long a little bit of Dow. This is going to pull back. I'll buy a little bit more here, and then I'll end up giving some back on the Dow and just cut this as I make more money on the short side of S&P and Nasdaq. So there's again the gift zone, guys. So you got your wall off the highs. Nice little 1 minute cycle. You bounce back up, and I sold right up the middle of that bounce. Boom, short again, and then you get a secondary drop. So I'm back short 3 S&P, still short my Nasdaq, a little bit out of the money on that. That's starting to roll over in the money. And then this is just a little bit of in and out on the tick chart, I believe, on S&P. So I'm short here, pretty much right off the high, the bounce to that lower high on the 1 minute. And then I'm bidding below the market. So if we start to make lower lows down here, I'm starting to cover. So I went to the 5 minute and was checking how high we were on the 5 minute cycle. Plenty of room to come back down. I'm bidding below. Okay, boom, cover. This is S&P coming out of some of my short. Gonna cover again down here. So I'm booking more gains. Still short my Nasdaq. Remember, this is my second sale. So I'm just going to sit down on the 5 minute. Here I'm checking the Nasdaq 5 minute cycle. Plenty of room to come back down. And then once you guys catch this turn like that, you're sitting pretty. You're just going to let stuff ride, maybe come in and out. But you've already traded the bounce so well, and then you time the short so well, you're going to make money. It's easy from there. Key is not the snatch. Just try to let some stuff play out on the 5 minute, full 5 minute set. See, we're only at 48 on the right. This green line, that's the 5 minute. I'm only about halfway back. So I know I got probably a little bit more to go, time wise and as far as like distance. Hopefully this is a good visual of how to kind of trade the turns. And you trade this the same way. Like if we're trading, we're going to trade, I'm going to end up trading Bitcoin the same way on the longer term, just trading the bottom as it kind of curves out, whether it's down here at 40,000 or 30,000. It's the same. It's a little bit tougher to have stuff on the short side in crypto, but you could say the same thing for like equities. I've been short Nasdaq, start to put a little bit of a short vol position out, a little bit long S&P, but it's all the same fractal stuff. Just we're doing this on the micro time frame. Okay, 1 minute's low. I'm now at this point. I was waiting. I'm thinking, okay, if we bounce back up here, I'm going to start reselling S&P again. I covered a couple times well. I'm waiting to see if this 1 minute can come back up, and then I'm going to be a better seller back to where my average is. And I think what ends up happening is we get a shallow bounce, and the cycle kind of rolls over a little bit early, and then we have the secondary drop. And sometimes that's going to happen when you have a lot of selling. Yeah, so here, this about halfway, I'm not afraid to short a little bit too. I think I might have done that. I think I might have peeled out of this long with this bounce. Let's see if I sell. I probably sell the Dow here. I don't remember if I sold. Oh, I did sell more S&P. Okay, so we're about halfway up, a little bit further, 63. Once you start getting like above 50, there's the tick chart. Sold up here, so now I'm covering some, and this is now you're just going to roll over. So now I'm booking more gains in S&P. There I'm flat, 4,200 bucks. Now look, I got flat S&P, so I just kicked out immediately. I just kicked out some of that Dow. I don't need it. I'm only long 2. Just Still short my Nasdaq. 2,400 bucks in this Nasdaq's starting to burn a hole in my pocket. That's why I'm checking the 5-minute cycle. 27. So anytime you guys get to like 25 a quarter for the way down, then boom, I booked it. See, I was up like 10 grand. Boom, call it a day. That's me exiting everything. So you can see I made money on the Dow on the way up. Helps me set up short on the S&P and the Nasdaq. Gave some money back on the Dow, but I made more on my short S&P and Nasdaq. And there's my sales on the high, cover. Now we ended up trading lower, but you don't always catch everything, guys. Not every move is meant for you. Not every tick, not every single play is there for you. So if you can capture 80% of the moves and do it in a consistent manner, that's what we're after. Okay, hope that helped. I put a lot into trying to record those and show you guys the execution, and it's the best way I can kind of teach when it's not live and in the moment. We'll do some more live stuff also. But again, guys, go to jenkinsrm.com and you can email me, sales@jenkinsrm.com down here. That's a good email. If you want to join the prop program, I can get you signed up, and or you guys are interested in taking advantage of the 90% Cycle Edge Pro offer for the year. I'll include the links. You can email me again there. Also, you can DM me in the Telegram room, and I'll put the links in the YouTube and in this email. So hope that helps everybody. Have a great weekend. Try to recharge for next week. I know I will be. And we'll see how we finish out the month. I'll be doing a lot of cycle work on, I mean, just some of the stuff I'm doing, like for Cycle Edge Pro guys. There's a lot going on. I can get to the bottom of my screen. I'm doing cycle work, gosh, on S&Ps. We're coming into a pretty good cycle today. It plays out into the end of the year. There's some big cycles on Bitcoin coming into the end of January. So there will be a lot going on. I would just jump on that Cycle Edge Pro if you want to know what we're doing on the swing trades, if you want to know what we're doing on the core positioning. But it's really just direct contact, just like a cover of the pros, the guys that are, you know, doing this for a living full time. All right. So I hope that helps. Talk to you guys Sunday night or Monday morning.